Well, good morning everyone. The fall is in the air. It's so much cooler. Today I'm going to share with you a little bit the biggest mistake that I made in prepping. Now, I have been a prepper for about 15 years and I made the biggest mistake, and it's probably not what you think. What was the biggest mistake in prepping? Well, I hope you stay tuned. The biggest mistake in prepping that I have made was I always had the mentality, go big or go home. And for years, especially on my YouTube channel, for years, I did massive prepping. Massive prepping. I mean, if I needed 10 boxes of something, I bought 30. Massive. Well, it got to the point where it was so overwhelming, and I had to spend this last year to year and a half going through all of my food. While most of my food stayed good, my flour did not. So my flour, the white flour, is about 4 years old. There's no bugs in it, and it looks fresh, but when I baked in it, there was a little bit of this bitter flavor, and I couldn't figure out what this bitter flavor was. My flour went flat. Now, I did everything that you could possibly do to store it correctly. I just think that the flour got old on me. I can do a little more research. But when I talk about flour, I'm talking about 200 pounds of flour. And then I kind of got out of prepping and cooking by scratch, and well, I didn't get to use it all. That's the only thing I can tell you right now, that I could not use all of it. The rice is still amazing. That rice is 6 years old and I love it, but 300-400 pounds of rice, it's go big or go home. Well, I went home. So for me, the biggest challenge was prepping. You don't have to buy the whole store to prep. There's got to be a fine line. So I like to teach and share with all of you that there are ways to prep that look like small ways to prep. But in the whole schedule of things, it makes a difference. So let me explain this and give you this scenario. So you're 50 pounds overweight, but you lose 2 pounds. It doesn't seem like much, does it? But you lose 2 pounds this week, next week, the next week, and before you know it, after a couple months, you've lost a lot of weight. Well, that's how prepping can be. You don't need to go to the store today. Homestead Tessie did a video and she said that we need to go do this. You don't need to go to the store today and buy 20, 30, 50, 100 pounds of something. One, as we get older, it gets overwhelming. I physically cannot be hauling around 100-pound bags of stuff anymore, because then you have to deal with it when you get home. Unless it's something, you know, that you really consume a lot of. So prepping, you don't have to go big or go home. I'm going to be doing a few things today that is small prepping. Small prepping can lead to big rewards. I couldn't believe it, the carloads of food that I would bring home. Yes, it was for free. Making it into smaller, you know, to preserve it, canning it, or repackaging it. I mean, I was like a storehouse. And then you have the weight of all of it. Where are you gonna put all of it, you know? And then you have to worry about so many other things. And finally, I got to go through all of my food, and I didn't throw much of it away. In fact, the flour was the only thing I really couldn't use, and I had some really old powdered milk. Now, it was really, really old. It didn't have a look to it, so when powdered milk goes bad, it would get yellow. So powdered milk should be white when you buy it, and then when powdered milk gets bad, it gets yellow, and it has an off smell to it. It was kind of like this, half and half, and I probably could have kept it a little while longer, but that was another thing that I did get rid of, but it wasn't much of it. I think it was like a gallon of it. So Prepping small can make a huge impact out, barricading yourself inside your home with stockpiles of food. But it is being conscious of your own needs. People say it can never happen to them. I'm sure that if we would talk to people in Venezuela and all these other countries, so quickly things happened and they weren't given much forewarning about it. We can prep in a way that gives us peace of mind. It's a healthy way of prepping. No, we are not putting our faith in the stock of food that we have. But like in Noah's time, prepping in the Bible was really important. It's like everything in life. You don't want to be gluttonous, but you can enjoy food. You don't want to be to the point where you think you don't need nothing because you're the prepper, but yet you can prep for the needs of your family and for yourself and for loved ones. It's all in a matter of perspective, my friends. And so for me was go big or go home. And let me tell you what, it was so stressful after a year or two of it. And now I'm at a place where all of my preps are done in a managed way, and it's saving me so much money. I can go months without going to the grocery store, and I've gone a couple weeks without going just to, if I had some extra preps. And now when I go to the grocery store, I have a list. I go through my storehouse. I call it my storehouse. It's like a store. I go through my storehouse. I take an inventory of what I need, what's getting a little low, and then I use that food. I don't close the door, lock the key, and forget about it. I use that food. And so that is a big difference in my life. Go big or go home, Tessie. Oh, goodness. I'm just like it's like the tortoise and the hare running that race. I'm just on the back burner running it every single day. It's a lifestyle. It cannot be something that you are fearful of and all of a sudden one day you're just going to go and blow $1,000. It is a lifestyle. And when it becomes your lifestyle, one, it's not that expensive, and two, it's something that you can incorporate in your everyday life. It gives you purpose, and it gives you a great feeling to know that you accomplished something. There's one thing that I want to share with all of you. There's nothing wrong with going to the grocery store to do your prepping. Sometimes people put a lot of emphasis on growing your own food. Well, growing your own food is very important. You just never know what for year you're going to have, and growing your own food is very physical activity, and not everybody can do that. So what I'm doing is I'm working with parsley and onions. Now the onions were spring onions from the grocery store I planted back in the spring. And this is parsley. Now this doesn't look like prepping much, does it? But every day in the summer, I'm taking something that's edible and I'm preserving it long term. You wouldn't believe what I get out of it. Parsley is really important to have with prepping because it's a flavor. And let me tell you what, we've been living off of beans and rice now for the last 60 days. And I'm so tired of beans and rice. I am not going to come on here and tell you that I could eat beans and rice the rest of my life. Well, I guess if I had to, I would. But when we add different flavorings to it, all of a sudden, it tastes different. So flavorings are very important, and we'll get into that in a future video. It smells so good, these onions. But I wanted to tell you, don't be disheartened if you have to go to the grocery store and you can't make all of your own noodles, make all of your own foods to have long term. There's absolutely nothing wrong in the grocery store. If you find it on sale, stock up on it, but do it in a way that you know that you can handle it. Don't go there with a big cart and take all of the things that you see. That's when we have runs on grocery store items like toilet paper and things like that. Take what you need and then leave the rest for someone else. If you have solar, you can easily hook up your solar to a small dehydrator. I have a really small one. and I can use the solar unit for that. If not, dehydrators really don't take that much. And one thing I like to do is in a really cool, damp day, if you run your dehydrator, it helps warm your house. I've warmed our bedroom many times. We don't have heat in our bedroom, and many times I ran the dehydrator back there and it made it nice and warm.